Hi everyone! Today's joke of the day is what has four wheels and flies? Stay tuned to find out. Our learning target today is I can divide numbers in scientific notation. So we're going to divide the following numbers in scientific notation. Our answers need to be completely in scientific notation, so that will be important in a little bit. Okay, but let's first start with this one. 3.066 times 10 to the 8th divided by 7.3 times 10 to the 3rd. Well, the first thing we want to do is look at those first numbers, our coefficients, and divide those. So I type into my calculator 3.066 divided by 7.3, and that gives me 0.42. Okay, and now we're going to divide our exponents, right? So we'll have 10 to the 8th divided by 10 to the 3rd. Because we're dividing, we subtract our exponents. So we have 8 minus 3, and that gives us 5. So we'll end up with 0.42 times, maybe I'll put in the 0 just so we're clear, 0.42 times 10 to the 5th. But we are not quite in scientific notation yet, right? Because this part, this 0.42 is not in between 1 and 10. Okay, so we need to move our decimal place one spot, right there. So 4.2 times 10. Well, now I have to think about, okay, we moved it one spot to the right. And yesterday in our video with multiplying, I said that if we're going to move it to the right, that means we need to subtract 1 from our exponent. So really, we end up with 10 to the 4th. Let's check our work to make sure that we did that right, okay? So 0.42 times 10 to the 5th. Well, we start with this 0.42. We have to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the right because we have a positive 5. That gives us 42,000. Now, if we had 4.2 times 10 to the 4th, now we need to move our decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right, which gives us 42,000. Okay, these are the same thing, so we know that that is correct. Sorry, that check mark looks kind of like a U. There we go. We'll check it off. Okay, so we checked our work. Let's move on to this next one. We have 2.3958 times 10 to the 3rd divided by 1.98 times 10 to the 8th. Let's look at our coefficients. Okay, we'll do that 2.3958 divided by 1.98 in our calculator, which gives us 1.21 times 10 to, let's see, well, we have 10 to the 3rd divided by 10 to the 8th. Well, we take the top exponent minus the bottom exponent, so we'll have 3 minus 8. That gives us negative 5. So we'll end up with 10 to the negative 5th. And look at that. Our answer is already in scientific notation because 1.21 is in between 1 and 10. So it looks like we're good there. Okay, let's look at this one down here now. We have 1.305 times 10 to the 3rd divided by 1.45 times 10 to the negative 4th. Well, we can divide those those coefficients, right? We have 1.305 divided by 1.45. That will give us 0.9 or 0.9. Maybe I'll put that in there. Okay, and then we have our 10 to the 3rd minus or divided by our 10 to the negative 4th. Okay, be careful here. We have our 3 minus a negative 4. Okay, so we chop and get to 7. Positive 7, right? Because it's actually 3 plus 4 now. So we have 0.9 times 10 to the positive 7th. We're not quite there yet, though, because this is not quite in 0.9 is not between 1 and 10. So we have to move our decimal place one place to the left, or to the right, actually. And so then we end up with 9 times 10. Well, and when we move it to the right, we have to subtract 1 times 10 to the 6th. That will be our answer for that one. Okay, let's look at one more. 9.5 times 10 to the 12th divided by 2.5 times 10 to the negative 3rd. We'll do our 9.5 divided by 2.5. That gives us 3.8. You know it's going to be times 10 to some power. Well, we have 10 to the 12th divided by 10 to the negative third. Okay, similar to the last one, we have 12 minus a negative 3. So we chop, chop, and end up with 15. Oh, that doesn't really look like a 5. Let me fix that for you. End up with 15. So we get 3.8 times 10 to the 15th. 3.8 is between 1 and 10. So we know that our answer is in scientific notation, and we can leave it like that. All right, now let's look at a couple word problems. The speed that light travels is 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. The distance from the sun to the earth is 1.296 times 10 to the 11th meters. How long would it take light to travel from the sun to the earth in seconds? How about minutes? Okay, well, we know that distance divided by speed is going to equal time. So that's what we want to do. We want to take the distance, so we have our 1.296 times 10 to the 11th. That's in meters, right? We're going to divide that by our 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second to get the total time in seconds. Well, if we take our 1.296 divided by 3, that will give us 0.432 times 10 to some power, right? And then we take our 10 to the 11th divided by our 10 to the 8th. We subtract those. 11 minus 8 is 3, so we end up with 10 to the 3rd. And this is going to be in seconds. Okay, we're not quite in scientific notation. We have to move our decimal place one spot to the right. So we have to subtract 1 from our exponent, which ends up equaling 4.32 times 10 to the second seconds. That's how long the light takes to travel from the sun to the earth in seconds. Well, now we have to convert it into minutes. That's the next thing we want to do. Okay, so we take our 4.32 times 10 to the second. And we know that there are 60 seconds in a minute. So we're going to divide that by 60 seconds. When we do that, we end up with, well, we take our 4.32 divided by 60, okay, and we end up with 0.072. And now we take, well, we have our 10 to the second, right? And there's no 10 to any power in our denominator, so that'll be times 10 to the second, okay? But with this one, we can take that times 10 to the second, and we know that that's just going to go away because we have to move our decimal place 2 spots to the right, which means you have to subtract 2, so it's really just 10 to the 0 power. So it will take 7.2 minutes to travel to the earth from the sun. Okay, our final story problem. Pluto is 5.906 times 10 to the 12th meters from the sun, and the earth is 1.496 times 10 to the 11th meters from the sun. How many times greater is the distance of Pluto from the sun compared to the distance of Earth to the sun? Well, we want to know how much greater the distance of Pluto to the sun is, so that number is going to go in our numerator. So do 5.906 times 10 to the 12th divided by 1.496 times 10 to the 11th. Okay, those are all in meters. Okay, and if we divide that, then we end up with 5.906 divided by 1.496. Well, that gives us 3.94, let's round it to the thousandth, so 3.948. Okay, and that'll be times 10 to, well, we have 10 to the 12th divided by 10 to the 11th. 12 minus 11 is 1. So we have times 10 to the first power. Okay, but because it just wants it how many times greater, we can just rewrite this, right? If we add this times 10 to the first power, that means we're going to move our decimal place once to the right, when we do that. So we'll end up with 39.48 times greater is the distance from Pluto to the sun than compared to the distance from Earth to the sun. All right. What has 4 wheels and flies? A garbage truck. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.